Get out of your own way. Overcoming self-defeating behavior. Practical lessons for conquering procrastination, fear, envy, neediness, guilt, and more. Putting on an act to make a good impression. Shakespeare says this, and I quote, "This above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day, thou canst not then be false to any man. To this above all, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day, that thou canst not then be false to any man." Wow. "Looks like I'm headed for another love-hate relationship," said Carol. "You know, the kind where I love him and hate me." To her credit, Carol still had a sense of humor, even after a series of disastrous relationships. Raised to be modest and to defer to others, she had married a controlling, self-absorbed man, divorced him, then found herself dating other men exactly like him. "Their interest in me extended to how much interest I showed in them," she said. Now 34 and a successful photographer, she was determined to find a man who would return the concern she was accustomed to giving. She had recently met a man she liked, but on their first date, she found herself slipping into the same pattern. Paul spoke mainly about himself and made all the decisions about what they would do, and Carol held back. She did not talk about her work or express her opinions, and she deferred to all of Paul's suggestions. George Meredith says this, and I quote, "We are betrayed by what is false within. We are betrayed by what is false within." Like Carol, we all try to put our best foot forward at the beginning of a relationship because we want to be accepted. We mind our manners. We try not to offend and conceal our flaws and weaknesses. Men usually try to convey an impression of confidence while keeping a lid on how needy or possessive they can be. They might try to portray themselves as sensitive, but few will actually show their vulnerability. To do so would be to admit they can be hurt, and in their eyes, that is equivalent to being weak. Women, on the other hand, tend to downplay their strength and accomplishments so as to not intimidate men. They are also leery of coming across as demanding or insecure, knowing that those qualities can push a man away. So, like Carol, they make a great effort to be attentive and agreeable. However, there comes a time in every relationship when the parties let their guards down. Hidden flaws, needs, and imperfections begin to leak out. And the longer they have been concealed, the stronger the shock and the greater the disruption to the relationship. The problem is often made worse by another form of not being real, allowing someone's insensitive or hurtful behavior to pass without comment. We fear that if we try to hold the other person accountable, we will seem demanding and drive him or her away. Unfortunately, if we fail to express disapproval, the unacceptable traits can become habitual. Our resentment builds, and we eventually end up overreacting. Then we seem more than demanding. We seem abrasive and intolerant. As I told Carol, it is crucial to put your real foot forward as early in the relationship as possible. Otherwise, the other person will grow to like someone you are not, and that leads only to trouble. Intimacy is built on trust. If you don't trust the other person enough to be yourself, you can't be intimate, and neither can he or she. Also, someone who lives a lie usually comes across as weak. In Carol's case, the men she worked so hard to please would invariably lose respect for her, and so would she. Right now, Paul likes how you make him feel, I told her. But you'll feel better if he likes you for who you really are. I urged her to find a way to show Paul she was not some self-sacrificing woman who would tolerate a self-centered man. If he couldn't handle it, he was the wrong guy for her. Ralph Waldo Emerson says this, and I quote, "The highest compact we can make with our fellow is, let there be truth between us two forevermore." Wow. The highest compact we can make with our fellow is, let there be truth between us two forevermore. What Carol did was so creative, it won my lasting admiration. Over dinner on their next date, as Paul was rambling about on his business, she looked at him with an enigmatic smile. Intrigued, he asked, "What are you thinking?" "I was just trying to figure out if you were a jerk," said Carol. "If you are, we can still be friends. I just want to be clear from the start." Paul was secure enough to laugh. I guess I can be awfully full of myself when I'm trying to impress someone, he said. That's okay, said Carol playfully. I can be a real bitch myself. Carol's unusual approach demonstrated that she was a confident woman who did not suffer fools gladly. It commanded Paul's interest, not to mention his respect. His next words were, well, that's a start. I want to know everything about you. Her honesty also had the salutary effect of encouraging Paul to relax and put his real foot forward. Emily Dickinson says this, and I quote, "Truth is such a rare thing, it is delightful to tell it. Truth is such a rare thing, it is delightful to tell it." The next time you find yourself putting up a false front, ask yourself why you would want to be around someone who likes what you're not. But before you display yourself in all your truthful splendor, understand that if you reveal too much too soon, you can scare the other person away. One patient of mine would pour forth virtually her entire biography the minute she met an attractive man, along with a checklist of exactly what she was looking for in a relationship. The men felt they were at an audition, not on a date. On the other hand, if you wait too long, tension will accumulate. And when the charade finally ends, the other person will probably feel resentful. Mark Twain was surely right when he said, when in doubt, tell the truth. But I'm sure he would agree that in truth telling, as in comedy, timing is everything. Here's your usable insight for today. Your usable insight for today. Put your real foot forward first. Put your real foot forward first. And I would probably capitalize the word real. Taking action. Be yourself from the beginning, very beginning of a relationship. Why would you want to be involved with someone who doesn't like you for you? Point 2. Be honest without being blunt. Express your needs, wishes, or frustrations as statements of your feelings, not as demands or ultimatums. For instance, it frustrates me when you say we need to talk and then interrupt me if I say something you don't like. Okay, that's fair. Point 3. When sharing your troubles, don't make the other person feel sorry for you or responsible for solving your problems. Okay, that's fair. Point 4. When you talk about things you're proud of, do so without arrogance or conceit. I got a problem with that. Just saying. 2, 3, 4. Point 5. When you express disapproval about someone's behavior, A, preface it by saying something positive about him. B, use non-judgmental phrases such as, it upsets me when. And C, invite him to share something about you that upsets him. And point 6, once you put your real foot forward, keep it there. It usually takes real perseverance to get into the habit of being honest at all times. Being honest at all times. Get out of your own way. Putting on an act to make a good impression. Man, overcoming self-defeating behavior, practical lessons for conquering procrastination, fear, envy, neediness, guilt, and more. Authors Mark Goulston, MD, and Philip Goldberg.